Nice work on setting up the initial functionality where we can control the state value using the select. Now, of course, I would want to sort my items depending on that value. Now, what we need to understand is that we're not going to control the amount of items. That one will still stay 17 in our case, meaning the original array. What we're controlling is the order. So, based on our value, we'll either sort it by the lowest, by the highest, as well as the name. Hopefully, that is clear. And also, we'll rely heavily in this video on the sort method that comes with JavaScript. So if you need a refresher, please visit one of the links. Since I'll try to explain in as much detail as I possibly can, but if some parts are still unclear, just utilize the external resources. So I'm going to navigate back to my project. And first, in a filter context, I would want to set up another action. And this one is going to be, again, in the use effect. So what I would want is to have a use effect that runs every time we change this state value. And also, it runs after we set up the products. Because remember, initially, this filtered product is an empty array. And since our functionality will depend on this array, we also need to add products to that dependency array. Now, of course, there is already a action variable for that. And we just need to set up use effect. And eventually there's going to be filters here as well. But for time being, we just need to set up our use effect. And in our dependency array, let's write product. So when the product changes, we will run this one, as well as, of course, initial amount. And also when the state value of sort changes, since that's when we will click on the input, correct? So we're going to go with state. And then the value was sort. So once that value changes, I would want to invoke dispatch. And then in dispatch type will be, and the name is update, or I'm sorry, sort product. My apologies. So sort product, of course, again, variable is coming from my actions.js. Now, we're not passing in any kind of payload. We just dispatch the action. And of course, we're going to get a big fat error because this is happening on initial amount. So we just simply need to go to a filter reducer and handle that. And I'll start by simply setting up the if. And we're going to go with if action type is equal to, and remember, the name was sort product. Well, then I would want to do something. And this is going to be different where we'll set up 4 more if statements for every state value that we have possibly for sort. Now, for the time being, I'm just going to return a state so I don't get that annoying error like so. So that should fix it. We're just getting back our state. And I will start by getting 2 values out of the state. First, I would want to get the sort value. So I would want to know how I should sort it. And then the second one will be those filtered products. So we're going to go here with const, and I'm looking for sort, and then filtered, and then product. And that is coming from the state, of course. That's number 1. Now, the second thing will be a temp product array, which will change depending on my state value for my sort. So in here, let's say let, and then temp product, since we will change it in each if statement, if of course the condition matches, and then that is going to be empty array over here. And then let's set up, like I said, 4 if statements. So say if sort, and now we need to again use the same strings. So price, and then lowest, like so. And then for time being, let's just console log the same thing so that we are aware of what is happening. Price lowest. And then I'm just going to copy and paste 1, 2, 3, 4. Why am I doing that? Because I have 4 possible values for the select one. And then, of course, this is going to be priced highest, correct? So I'll change this one around. Just make sure, again, that strings match exactly what you have over here. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense. And now, of course, I would want to go with name. So name A. And in here, we're going to go with name Z. So name Z. I will save it. and let's navigate to the big screen just so we can see what is happening a bit clearer. And of course, I have my use effect and all that. And what we should see in the console that we have price lowest. Why? Because that is my initial value in a state, correct? Then I go with price highest, and I should meet the condition here in my second sort. And of course, I have price highest. And then one by one, we just need to use sort on filtered products. So the products that are currently displayed. And of course, I would want to change the order. And then I'll right away set up my temp products equal to that value. So I have 4 if statements. And if the value matches, then of course, beautiful. I'll just set this up to be equal to whatever I'm filtering. Okay. Meaning more precisely sorting, I guess. So we'll start with temp products over here. And that temp product is, you know what? I'll change my mind. Filtered products is just going to be dot, 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 and filtered products. Filtered and then products. So I copy the values from the filtered products. That is going to be my temp products. And then as far as the state, well, I'll return filtered products right now equal to my temp products. So at the moment, you're like, okay, wait a minute, what is happening? Why you go with filtered products here? So you set it equal to the temp products, and then you return the filter products equal to temp products. Well, just in case if there's some weird scenario where none of them match, then at least I display something. Otherwise, if I'm just going to go with empty array over here for temp products, and then I set my filtered products equal to an empty array, I'm not going to display any products. Hopefully that is clear. And then in the price lowest, what I would want. Well, I'm going to go with temp products, and we'll just overwrite that value. We'll go with temp products, and then let's use that sort method. Let's say temp products is equal to a sort function. And in a sort function, we pass in a callback function. And in here, we can access 2 items, meaning the current one, and then the next one. And you can use whatever parameters you'd want. But in my case, I'm going to go with A and B. And to tell you honestly, the fastest way how we can write is simply by setting up the implicit return. So I'll start with implicit return, and then I'll show you on the first one, the long way, and then hopefully it's going to be clear, and then we can continue with short returns here as well. So essentially, if you want to sort some items, starting with a smallest value first, we just need to go with item, which in our case, of course, is the product. And remember, when we talked about the products, and this is extremely important, products were what? Array, all right? And then each item was that object. So when we're using that sort, we're iterating over the array, correct? And what I would want to do is compare my items based on that price. So A and B represent the current item, and then the next item, meaning my product. And then I would want to sort them based on price by placing the smallest item first. So that's why I'll go with A price minus B price. So again, we first start with a shortcut, and then I'll show you the long way how the functionality works. And what we should see is the fact that we're sorting items based on the price. All right. Now, if we want to sort by the largest items first, then we'll just copy and paste, and we need to flip the values. Again, don't worry, I will show you the long way. But since some people might be familiar, I'm just going to set up the functionality first here, and then I'll go back and go line by line. So if you want to set up your items, if you want to sort them by the highest number first, meaning the whatever price we have, then of course we go with B price, so the second item, minus the A price, like so. So we just flip it around. And now, of course, once we click on the highest, we should display the highest item first. So that should do it for the price. Now, when it comes to comparing by the name, prior to the method that I'm about to show you, we needed to write few lines of code. But with an arrival of this one, locale, and then compare, we simply have an option of one-liner. Again, if you want to find out more about this method, please visit the resources. And what's really cool about it that we don't even need to worry about the casing and all that annoying stuff. So we simply pass in one value, compare it to the second value, and then if the output is the one that we're looking for, then of course we just return new order of the items. So where we have name and then hyphen A just means that I would want to sort those items based on the name that of course starts with A, B, and whatever, and then the ones that start with Z are going to be all the way at the end. So we simply need to again grab these values here and copy and paste. And I'm going to say sort. Again, I'm accessing A and B. So that's going to be the current item and then the next item. And in here, I'm just going to say that I would want to return A name and then locale compare. And then we're looking for B name. So A name, locale compare. And then we're comparing B name since that is the property, of course. And for the names that start with Z, again, the setup is going to be extremely similar. We just need to change this around where we're going to go with B name, locale, compare, and then we pass in the A name. And let me just double check whether our functionality works, and then we'll take a deep dive into sort. So this is going to be by lowest first, then we can set up by highest. Of course, then we can set up by name. So this is going to compare the names. And of course, if it starts with A, then of course, this is going to be the first one and then all the way down to the Z. And if we would want to show the first ones that start with Z, then of course, we just set up our state value equal to name Z. So if you're familiar with sort, you can bravely move on to the next video because now I'm just going to go back to our code and I'm going to show you the long way how it works. So we have a sort and we're comparing two values. We are comparing the current value and then the next value. So now, of course, I will for now just delete that and we'll write it the long way. And the way it's going to look like, we will first need to check, well, what is the value of A price and B price. So we'll set up if A price, A dot price is less than B price. If the A is less than B, then we need to return -1. Now, what that means is that A is going to be placed before B. However, if the A is bigger, so if I go with if A price is bigger than B price, then I would want to return +1, meaning 1. And if that is the case, now the A is going to be placed after the B. And then eventually we just go with return and then we set up here 0. That should be it. Now in this case, I think I'm missing one parenthesis here, something like this. And this is going to be the long way. Now what we need to understand though is that when we return this B price minus A price, essentially this is exactly what we're doing. So if the B price is going to be bigger, then of course we'll return positive value. If the A price is going to be bigger, then of course it is going to be negative. So this is going to be the case where we're setting up the sort based on smallest value first. So if the A price is less than B price, we return -1. If we return -1, A is placed before B. If the price is bigger, so if the A price is bigger than B price, then of course we display it after. So this is going to be for lowest number first. Now, if the second item's price is less than the first item's price, then of course we're returning what? We're returning -1, which is going to place that first item up front. And the same works with our method of locale compare, where again, we are just returning a value from that method, whether that is going to be -1, 1, or 0. And then depending on that, of course, we are sorting. So now, of course, I will save it. Again, please understand that first of all, we get filtered products and I just copy and set them equal to the temp products, just in case I have some kind of value that doesn't match. And then in all my if statements, I'm just changing the value of temp products. And at the end, I set back the filtered products equal to a temp product. And then in each if statement, I just check what is the value of the sort. And if it matches, then I just sort my items using the sort function. In here, we just return A minus B or B minus A. And then for the names, we use a nifty method locale compare, which also will return those number values. Again, you can technically use different setup. You don't have to use locale compare if you want, but I just find it to be the fastest one since this one compares the casing and all that. Hopefully we are on the same page and we can start working on the filters.